I don't really know how to title this, but I'm just going to call it How to Get Stronger and Improve Your Health. So here's a little trip down memory lane. I met this girl and I started dating her, and we're talking about just different things. We have shared interests, right? Both of us were into strength training, and she had done these figure competitions. It's not bikini; she did figure, and she liked lifting heavy, and she would do things like running marathons and 5Ks and stuff. She's not individual who takes any of these things seriously. She does a little bit of everything, and I thought that was cool. And so we're dating, and we're talking about training because I train, she trains, and she's telling me about her training program and how she just feels like shit, and she's not getting any stronger and all this stuff like that. And I was like, well, listen, I don't normally do this, but if you want, I'll take a look at your program, and I'll let you know, like, if this even makes sense. Because generally, if someone already has a coach, which she did, she already had a coach, I don't comment. I just let you do whatever you're doing with your coach. I don't ever want to look over another coach's shoulder and then be like, oh, this is crap. But when she's telling me how awful she feels, I'm like, all right, well, this is not a situation where I started dating someone I was coaching. I was dating someone and then I started coaching them, which is the reverse of what most people in the fitness industry do. Anyways, so I took a look at her program, and this program was written by someone she's worked with a lot of very good coaches. In fact, there are people that she's worked with who are coaches that you would know their name, which is unfortunate and sad and also pathetic. And so I looked at this program and I was like, what is this trash? He has you doing 3 sets of 12 of some type of sumo RDL. Why? And like, what's this crap over here? Like, this looks like 3 sets of 12 this, 3 sets of 8 that. Like, what the fuck are you doing? So I told her, don't renew with that coach, and when you're done, I'll take over. And of course, her diet stuff was absolutely stupid. I don't even know how to start explaining how bad the diet stuff was. This is crap. This is someone doing macro coaching, and I'm like, macros? That's idiotic. Unless you're trying to step on stage, there's no reason why you need to be tracking macros. I'm sorry. I know that that's going to make this unpopular. Go ahead and give it a thumbs down before you even hear the rest of the explanation. But I don't think that people need to be meticulously measuring and weighing and counting macros unless you are trying to make weight for an MMA fight. That's a good reason. Trying to get on stage for a bodybuilding competition or something. Yep, absolutely, totally get it. Trying to make weight for a weightlifting or a powerlifting competition. Yeah. But if you're not actively preparing for a meet where you have to make weight, or you're not preparing to step on stage, why not try something more sustainable that's a little more flexible? And I'm going to go ahead and tell people right now, I think the precision nutrition thing of like using like your palm and a fist and a thumb is a really good way for you to do your nutrition where you don't have to carry a food scale everywhere. For your general purposes, you will be able to maintain your weight and stay at a healthy weight within reason just by eyeballing things based on the size of your hand. I don't think you need to weigh and oh my God, I had 343 grams of broccoli instead of 340. Like, how meticulous do you need to be? You don't. If that's the truth, the stuff kind of balances out in the end. So don't get me wrong. If you're in prep, yeah, go ahead and count macros. But outside of that, you don't need to be that meticulous with your diet. And there's nothing magical about macros either. I hate to tell you this, but most of it just comes down to protein and total calories. So whether you're doing 40% fat or 30% fat or whatever it is, 20% fat, it doesn't matter that much, especially when all you're doing is lifting weights. You're not blowing through as much glycogen as you think you are. Now, you're training for strongman. Oh, gosh, yes, you are, Brian. That's a glycogen demand right there. You're doing sets of 3 to 8. I hate to tell you this, but you're not burning up glycogen like you think you are. So anyways, so she finally finishes with this coach, and I sit down with her, and I'm like, here's what we're going to do. I want you to eat steak. or beef, I don't care. You can have whatever you like, ground beef or steak. And you're going to have that, 5 to 6 times a day. And then you can put anything with it that you like. So if you want to have, steak and potato, have a steak and potato, have steak and vegetables, have steak and rice, have steak and whatever. But we need to just make sure that you're getting 4, minimum 6 ideal meals per day where you're getting a good quality protein source with each of those meals. Now, this is not vertical diet, okay? Because I'm not telling you you're going to eat steak and rice with every meal. I'm just telling you, as a protein source, you should be having steak over something like chicken. You should be eating beef over chicken. And if you want, you can take the steak out and have eggs instead. I find that eggs are a very good protein source as well. And that's your choices there. So we're going to just do 4 to 6 meals a day, and each meal you're going to make sure you have a protein source with it. That's it. Outside of that, I don't care. You could have an avocado with your steak. You could have a potato with your steak. You could have a couple apples with your steak if that's like your thing. Whatever you like. I don't care. I don't care if you do a meal where you combine steak with a protein, steak is your protein. I don't care if you combine a protein with a fat or a protein with a carb, okay? So steak is going to be your protein, or eggs, and then you can just pick your meals and make it a meal with a carb, meal with a fat, meal with a carb, meal with a fat. Like, just break it up. But the only point that I'm making here, and this is the important part for you to take away, is to distribute your protein across the day. You wouldn't believe how many people are like, yeah, I eat 150 grams of protein a day. It's like, okay. It's like, yeah, I have like 10 for breakfast, and I have like 20 for lunch, and then I have like 120 for dinner. That's not evenly distributed. That's the problem. So evenly distribute your protein across the day. You're welcome. Anyways, so that was the very first thing I just told her to do. Just change your meal frequency. Instead of you eating these 3 meals that are all carefully calculated, loosen things up a bit and just make sure that you're eating protein every 3 to 4 hours and getting some meals in. You know what's really magical about that? Satiety. You're not hungry. Oh, wait, what? Yeah, if you're not hungry, it's really easy to stick to this. The reason why people go off the rails whenever they're trying to follow some diet is often because they're hungry. Magical cure for this: get a good protein source that digests slowly, not your whey protein. Whey protein goes in and out. As fast as it goes in, it goes out, and you're hungry again. Go drink a shake of whey protein. Put a scoop of whey protein in some water, shake it up, drink it down, and let me know how long until you feel hungry. Now go eat 8 ounces of steak and let me know how long until you're hungry again. You see the difference? And that's a big factor here. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about sustainability, okay? So this is something you can sustain. You don't need to be meticulous with measuring macros, because a lot of times your hunger and your appetite will help you if you just dial in the part of getting protein evenly distributed across your day. There's a whole thing called like the protein leverage hypothesis and stuff. Protein. Wow, what a concept. I sound like the fucking Taco Bell commercial. Protein, 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 protein. Yes, it really is that simple though. Take your protein, distribute it across the day. Anyways, so, and this is important. When I met this girl, she had lost her menstrual cycle from having dieted down for her physique competition, and it still hadn't come back. So that was why I told her steak. In any case, we'll jump forward real quick, and I'll tell you that within like a month of doing this, her menstrual cycle came back, and all of her hormones came back to normal, and her luteinizing hormone, follicle-stimulating hormone, estrogen, etc., all came back to normal. Wow. Yeah, why? Because steak is full of vitamins and minerals. That's why steak is a better choice than your boiled chicken breast. And that's why eggs are a better choice, because they're full of B vitamins and biotin and choline and all these things like that. These things are actually important for you. I know people are like, no, I can just drink whey protein and eat gummy bears. But no, you're not gonna. That works for fat loss, I guess. Like, if you just want to look at the weight on the scale and body fat, well, you're not gonna feel good. And I think it's important to be healthy. I think that being healthy helps you get stronger too. And that's the other part that matters here as we change your training. She was really upset about me changing her training too. That was not an easy conversation with her. I said to her, here's what we're gonna do. You're doing too much. You're doing like 4 or 5 different exercises and you're doing 3 sets of 8 to 12 on 4 or 5 different exercises, this is monkey shit. We're going to do one lift. That's it. We're going to do one lift. So, we're going to have a day where you're going to come in your squat. And all you're going to do is squat. You're just going to squat. An hour of squats. And I want you to rest 3 to 5 minutes between sets. And she was like, what? I never rest longer than a minute between sets. It says very clearly in this program, I can't rest more. And I'm like, yeah, fuck that program. That program goes in the garbage. That guy is, I don't care how popular he is and how big his name is, that is trash. We are going to lift heavy, and we are going to rest 3 to 5 minutes between sets. So when you come in and you squat, I want you to squat a weight that is so heavy, and I want you to squat it for however many reps you can, and you should go hard enough that it takes you 3 to 5 minutes to recover. That was her squat day. We did the same thing with deadlift. We did the same thing with overhead press. In fact, we went with a behind the neck overhead press because I looked at her shoulders and I was like, your one shoulder sits back kind of further than the other. And she's like, yeah, I've had shoulder pain in my right shoulder for all this time. And I was like, well, that's weird because your left shoulder is the one that's the problem. So I addressed her shoulder mobility and started improving her left shoulder, which is the one that didn't hurt, and suddenly her right shoulder pain went away. Why? Because the lack of mobility in her left shoulder required her right shoulder to move further to make up for that, lack of range of motion. That's why her right shoulder hurt. It was being overstretched. If you have one side that's tight, the weird thing is that the healthy side is often the side that hurts because it has to move further and cover more range of motion. It gets overstretched to make up for the side that is immobile. So I fixed her shoulder by addressing the one that didn't hurt. And then, of course, we just had a really basic bench press. I had her do a close grip bench press because I don't care about your powerlifting total. I care more about you building strength. And so as far as I'm concerned, I really think more people would benefit from doing close grip bench press, unless you're competing in powerlifting, in which case then you need to do the competition lifts. But we did a high bar back squat. We did a standard conventional deadlift. We did a behind the neck overhead press, and we did a close grip bench press. That was her 4 workouts. So she went from 5 workouts a week that had 4 to 5 exercises of 3 to 5 sets of each of those things with 8 to 12 reps of each of those things, to doing just one lift per workout and 4 workouts per week. And I told her that they're all capped at an hour. So that's your warm-up, that's your work, that's everything you do has to be done in less than an hour. So anyways, I continued dating this girl, and every month she just kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And anyways, all this comes to a peak, right? And this is the part where it matters. So I later proposed to this girl and asked her to marry me and all this stuff like that. But this is all in the beginning, right? And so the one day I'm training with her, and at the time she weighed all of maybe 115 pounds, I think, and she squatted 195 for 7. She's 115 pounds, and she squatted 195 for 7. That was pretty impressive. I thought that was good. Anyways, like another 4 weeks later, I just decided, let's rep out. Let's see what you got. Because I figured she might be good for 8 when I watched that. I'm spotting her. Still weighs about 115 pounds, and she squats 195. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're still easy. She goes on 8, 9. And I was like, stop, just rack it. And she was like, why? She racks it. She's like, what? She's like, I could have kept going. And I was like, yeah, but you just beat your previous number by 2, so that's a PR. I should have stopped you at 8. You just squatted 195 for 9, and it was easy. You have more than that in the tank, obviously. We'll save it for another week. This is one of those moments where I thought, incorrectly, that she might be good for 1 more rep, but 4 weeks later, she was so much stronger. She banged out 9, and it was easy. And I was like, you know what? That's the PR for the day. We're just done. And she's like, that was my first set. And I was like, yeah, but it's a PR, so we're done. This is like I tell people all the time. Hey, you just cleaned, 140 kilos. And people are like, yeah, I'm going to go for 142. I'm like, no, you're done. That's PR. If you hit a new PR, go ahead and shut it down for the day, because you know what happens if you go for more? Let's say you go for that 142 and you miss it. You know what happens? You walk out of the gym feeling like shit. No, you hit a PR, you hit 140. You should be leaving on a happy note. You should be like, this is good. Instead, you went for the 142 and you missed it. And now you leave the gym feeling like shit, and you end the day on a bad one. Don't end the day on a bad one. Louis was right. You have to PR on something, and it's a psychological reason. It's not a physical reason or a physiological reason. You should make sure that you PR on something and then shut it down. When you hit that PR, it's like, that's the end of my day. Why? Because when you go for more and you miss it, you'll be fucking pissed. Save it. If you manage to squat 225 for 8 this week, and then next week you hit 9, but you're like, I think I could go for 12. Stop at 9. It's a PR. Go for 10 the next week. Like, this is like the marginal gains kind of thing. Like, just save it. Because if you fry yourself and do 12, maybe next week you only get 8. And then you're going to feel like shit. But it's actually just fatigue. So save it. There's a psychological game to be played with all this. Anyways, the point being, okay, so after like 6 months of just following a basic program where I just had her come in and doing nothing but like sets of like 3 to 4 reps, but heavy. You can do as many sets as you want, but they have to be heavy, and they have to be sets of 3 to 4 reps. I don't want sets of 8 to 12. And you have to rest 3 to 5 minutes between sets. Yeah, sure enough, we started doing, AMRAPs at the end, kind of a Wendler 5-3-1 style, right? Your last set, take it to an AMRAP thing. And then we started just playing with this whole thing of like, we're going to have a number that we choose. Right? This is too in-depth for this video. But the point being, at a certain point, I just started putting cap. So it was like, we're going to do 195. That's the weight for the day. And the goal is to do as many reps as you can with 195. So instead of chasing, having set the sets and reps and then trying to add weight, then we started setting a weight as the target and then trying to get as many reps as you can. So like, try to get 195 for 30 reps in as few sets as possible. Like, that became the game then. So it was like, we're going to choose the weight. So, we're going to deadlift 225. And we're going to deadlift 225, and we want to get 20 total reps. So try to do that in as few sets as possible, right? And then the next week it was like, well, we're going to do 235 for, 20 reps. And then it was like, okay, we're going to do 235 for 30 reps. And each time it was like trying to get it in fewer sets. So that's a different discussion for a different time about programming. But the bottom line is this. 6 months of just distributing protein evenly. Her health improved. Without counting macros, it was just have a protein with a fat or a protein with a carb at each meal. Super simple. We didn't have to be meticulous in weighing and measuring everything. And super simplified programming. I mean, it's 1 lift a day. We're just keeping it down, and we're going heavy. And within like 6 months, at a body weight of like 115-ish, she was definitely under 120. She squatted 195 for a set of 9, and it was easy. She had more. And that was one of those moments where I was like, oh shit. I'm a better coach than I realized. Because I would have never predicted that. I would have never said to her 6 months earlier, hey, this is what's going to happen. She just blew up and got super strong doing really minimal training. So, my point to you that I'm trying to share here is, how do you get stronger and healthier at the same time? It's really not that complicated, guys. You're going to evenly distribute your protein across the day. Oh, shocker. I know. It's common sense. I feel like slapping myself in the face when I say this stuff. But I guess people need to hear it. And the other thing is, you're going to train for strength. So you're going to do a lot of sets of 3, sets of 4, and you're going to make them heavy. You're going to stop training on the nerve. You're going to stop doing all this metabolic bullshit, like burnout set, take it 50 all the way. You're just blowing up all these hydrogen ions and creating stress on your body. You're running your carnosine levels down. No wonder you feel like shit. So it's almost like I'm telling you to train less But like, it's an hour versus an hour, right? What I'm really telling you to do is to lower the total volume and raise the quality of the work. And that's the secret. I know, it's not very sexy. This isn't like the secret program you were hoping for, where I tell you to do depth jumps off a 10-foot high platform and it will make your squat turn into a 600-pound squat. But this really is as simple as it gets. And the important part to this is that by not training on the nerve and burying yourself, yeah, you don't run into all that weird, adrenal stress and cortisol and all those fun things like that, where your body starts getting all out of whack. You gotta, you have to make a point to be healthy. If you're not healthy, your body isn't going to adapt to the training. And it really is quite simple. I know people love to overcomplicate it to sell you shit, but 99% of this shit is really just eat protein, spread it out across the day, fill in the rest of your calories with carbs and fats, carbs and fats, carbs and fats, carbs and fats. That's right, this isn't zero carb and this isn't zero fat. This isn't some kind of weird thing where you have to eliminate one or the other. Get some of both, and then you're going to train intelligently. Radical concept.